Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 7 o'clock, and we are live. Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 7 o'clock, and we are live. Welcome to V Talks on this February 8th. I'm so glad to have you here. This is Valentine's week. It is the week of love, and we have the Love Doctor on, or he is affectionately referred to as the Love Doctor. Andrew Aaron is here this evening. He is going to be promoting his new book, and he'll tell us all about that. And we are going to talk about the uncomfortable topic of sexual performance anxiety. So if you have any little kids in the room or anyone around that you don't want to hear the subject matter, I would take this opportunity to skedaddle them out, because this is going to be a very intimate topic tonight. We're going to learn a lot, and it might get a little uncomfortable in here, but that's okay. We're in a safe space. We're with an expert, and we are going to get uncomfortable. So please welcome our dear friend, our relationship therapist, Andrew Aaron. Hi, Andrew.
Hi. How are you, Veronica?
I'm uncomfortable.
I tend to have that effect on people.
You definitely have that effect on me.
I joke with my patients as a sex therapist and marriage counselor. I joke with them that coming to a sex therapist, I think, is better than going to the dentist. I think so.
Oh, yes. So I don't know, but I guess I have been going. I mean, you're on the show you're on the show every month, so I guess I kind of am going to a sex therapist now, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in front of a whole lot of people.
And there's always the risk of doing that somehow the subject of sex will come up.
Yeah, I think so. So before we get started, first of all, I want to congratulate you because you just gave me some incredible, amazing news. Can you tell us about your new show?
Yes, I am beginning a series of shows that will be, of course, live, but then uploaded as podcasts onto Spotify. And Spotify will be sponsoring the show. It's called Under the Sheets. And it will be all about love and relationship and intimacy and passion. But of course, it'll also be about sex.
Right? I'm so happy for you. This is so exciting. So Spotify is sponsoring it, and you said you're going to be on a billboard in Times Square?
That's what I hear. That's what I've been told. Yep. Big.
Well,
big.
I know. You're going to outgrow the V-Talks here pretty soon.
Well, that's a little uncomfortable for me, Veronica. I don't usually seek out a whole lot of attention. I'm quite a kind of a quiet person, but I really want to give the message to many, many, many people that they can love better, that they can have satisfying love in their life, and that sex is a very healthy part of being human, and we can have good sex in our life. And it's a part of being close to somebody and connected and having satisfying marriages.
So, Andrew, the reason actually we're talking about this subject matter is because you have written a book, and the name of the book is When Soft is Hard: Escaping the Cycle of Sexual Performance Anxiety.
That's right.
And the reason you wrote this book is because why?
Because I have a whole lot of patients coming to me with this problem, both men, of course, struggling with the issue of sexual performance anxiety, but also I get a lot of female partners coming who's saying, my relationship is in trouble because our intimacy isn't working. My male partner is having trouble and we don't know how to get out of this. And it's having a huge impact on me and our connection and our good feeling. And so it is an intense and difficult, painful problem when couples are struggling in this way in their intimacy.
So, Andrew, can you explain to our viewers exactly what is sexual performance anxiety?
It is a problem that shows up physically when a male partner is unable to maintain an erection in order to fulfill what we could call his masculine obligation to satisfy his female partner. And when this problem occurs for male partners, it is debilitating. It is the worst nightmare possible for him.
So what are the causes generally of this?
It shows up as a physical problem. Obviously, his body isn't doing what his body is supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so at first, couples are really worried that it's a physically based problem. But unlike erectile dysfunction, which itself can be physically based due to physical problems, heart problems, blood pressure problems, diabetes and other conditions, sexual performance anxiety is an emotionally based problem. That's why I, as a sex therapist, not a medical doctor, I am a licensed independent clinical social worker, even though people affectionately refer to me as the love doctor. But
I like to call you that.
Sweet of you. But
I know. He's the love doctor, and it's Valentine's week. Yeah.
As a professional who helps people with emotion, that's why I'm able to help individuals who are struggling with this problem, because really it's an emotionally based problem. And because of that, men are particularly challenged at discovering what the true source of the difficulty is, because a lot of us men, Veronica, are not so aware of our emotions.
And we've discussed that on previous shows.
That's right.
So what happens? So give me an example of a situation that maybe you've encountered with a couple that comes in with this issue.
Sure. As far as like what causes it
before they get there, like what give how would I explain it?
Sure. I got it.
You know how I have a hard time.
It could be
uncomfortable. Yeah.
It could be any number of situations. It could be that the couple hopes to enjoy each other and yet they're doing so and it's a little bit later in the evening and maybe they've had some alcohol earlier and they're really relaxed but a little bit tired, and the male partner's penis doesn't do what it's supposed to do. And because his sense of self, his confidence maybe is a little fragile.
Yeah.
Because this occurs, he's terrified because it's never happened before and he panics. And because of that, the next time he and his partner hope to enjoy each other, he's worried. He's really worried that this is going to happen again. And because of the mix of emotion and physical response are strongly tied together, because he's worried, what he fears the most actually happens. It happens again. And it becomes a horrible cycle of a self-fulfilling prophecy that whenever he worries that he won't succeed, in fact, he does not succeed.
So I'm sure the partner feels rejected in some way,
Oh, it's horrible, Veronica.
right?
Yes, female partners take it very personally, and most female partners immediately assume that it's an expression that he is no longer attracted to her.
So when this occurs, because I'm a female, so I'm going to ask
Yes, I did notice
these
that.
questions.
Yes.
So when this occurs, does the male still feel aroused and the equipment doesn't work, or is he's just like he wants to run away and
As fast as
he's done like for the day?
Oftentimes he is experiencing the worst level of inadequacy and fear and anxiety, and he's feeling terrible. And
So he's not interested at that point anymore.
Usually not, but that's combined with the female partner feeling terrible and being upset and not sure what to say and not sure if it's her or if it's him. It becomes the worst of everything.
So over time, if it isn't dealt with, I can see where it could very much erode a marriage.
Yes, and oftentimes couples get stuck in it. It's a trap, okay? And they get ensnared and they can't escape. And it happens and it repeats again and again and again. And it destroys connection because any sexual problem, Veronica, when it's not resolved, the painful fallout from it starts infecting the entire relationship. So it doesn't just stay neatly in the couple's sex life or in the bedroom. It starts interfering with partners' ability to be relaxed around each other, to be comfortable, to get close, because male partners then think, well, if she's getting close to me, she might have sexual expectations, and he would want nothing to do with that out of fear that once again he will fail.
So what I'm hearing from you is that men will avoid sex because they don't want to be in that situation again. They'll just avoid it.
Men who, prior to this development, prior to the first experience of disappointment or failure, these men are even very high sexual desire men. But once this happens, they have no interest in sex and they will avoid it at all cost.
Really?
It's powerful. Fear is powerful, and fear will override even intense sexual desire. And now men often have the reputation with female partners that they have incessant sexual desire and they want sex too much. But suddenly such a man who lives up to that masculine myth wants no sex, wants to stay away.
And they don't want it.
No.
Or want it with their partner. Would they seek it elsewhere where it's a safe space? They just are not interested because they're afraid that they're not going to be able to perform.
Terrified. Yep. Because that's the place where men derive a lot of nourishment for their sense of their own masculinity.
Right.
And when a man fails in that extremely important part of his life, his whole sense of himself as powerful, as manly, now has become completely deflated.
Okay, so now we have the partner feeling rejected,
yes,
not understanding. You can tell her that it is kind of her though, right? Because in some ways, because the partner must be putting some sort of pressure, no? Yes?
Well,
sometimes?
It gets very complicated, Veronica, because we have two people in this moment who are both in a lot of pain. And so female partners react in a number of different ways, and some of the ways, because of their own pain and discomfort, may deepen the problem. And then, yes, it does become a couple's problem, and it is a couple's problem, even though only one partner really has the problem, the solution is a couple's solution. The female partner has to be part of the solution, even though it's not directly her problem.
So, Andrew, how common is this in your
Very,
practice?
very common.
And these are the couples that are willing to go see you. How many couples are not willing to go see you?
At least 11. Yeah, maybe 12
Yeah, right?
million, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
it's it's
Because
very common, and it's painful, and yet because of the nature of it, right? I talk every day about sex, the thing that so many people are incredibly uncomfortable talking about. And so out and about, not many people are going to say, oh, guess what? I have erectile dysfunction and performance anxiety, and I'm failing in the bedroom. Men don't announce their failures. You
no,
know,
I can't imagine that.
No, because men don't want to show weakness to begin with, right? And men don't like to go to doctors because they feel out of control when they go to the doctor. And admitting to problems is also admitting weakness, and men don't like to do that. That's part of the being a real man, so to speak, and the man code that men operate under. So coming to a sex therapist is really challenging for a lot of men, but of course a lot of women as well.
So, there have to be a lot of causes of
Yeah.
this.
Yes,
Um, can you talk about some of them?
sure.
All right.
Yeah. This, Veronica, is actually a form of anxiety disorder.
Okay.
And so what I find is that most men who get trapped in this really vicious trap of sexual performance anxiety and the cycle of a self-fulfilling prophecy are often men who already struggle with issues of anxiety. They've often had anxiety and issues and challenges most of their life. They often struggle at feeling good about themselves. They struggle with inwardly, with self-esteem and with some confidence, right? It doesn't mean outwardly they show these things,
Yeah.
but inwardly this is true. So these men, once they experience sexual disappointment or failure, their anxiety disorder kicks in and it takes over. So they panic when they experience this problem, as opposed to, say, other men who have greater confidence and inner emotional self-awareness. If they encounter a disappointing experience, they're able to say, okay, I'll be all right. I don't need to panic. I'll do better next time. It'll be okay. And usually if they do that, they are able to do okay. And there isn't an ongoing cyclical problem, right?
But that's probably rare.
Hard to say
Yeah,
because
without, yeah.
we don't have statistics on this, right?
No, right. Yeah, of course.
Right. I mean,
Um,
there are many different cycles of anxiety. People, for instance, there's test anxiety. Students perform poorly on a test and then they get extremely anxious before any subsequent tests and then do poorly because of their level of anxiety. Or stage fright, or phobias of going on an airplane and panicking. Or there are many similar ones, but this is particularly difficult for men because it involves sexuality and a place where men feel that a demonstration of their masculine ability and prowess is so important, right? And that it's so painful for both partners and it has a long-term effect. So that's part of it, is as an underlying anxiety disorder, struggle with self-esteem, a man who has difficulty soothing powerful and uncomfortable feelings, right? Some of this has to do with, we could say, emotional intelligence or awareness of the emotions that we feel and our ability to put words to the feelings we have, to express our feelings. And between romantic partners or sexual partners, the ability to talk about these problems and to be able to accurately express what it is that we're feeling. If we can't do that, now our ability to actually solve this problem go way down. Right.
Yeah. Um, Now, I was reading a little bit about this, and there are physical, medical conditions that can affect this as well, right?
Absolutely. There are lots of conditions that for us men render our ability to have an erection or our erections more fragile.
Okay.
One of those factors is aging. So as men age, their body changes and their entire physical response changes. And so does their ability to have an erection. As do, for women, as women age and go through menopause, women also notice that there are physical changes to their sexual response, right? So as men age, what I notice happens is that men don't really pay attention to the changes in their body, and they go under the assumption that everything's okay and fine. And when there's a change, it's like a sudden earthquake. They suddenly notice a difference that has been gradually occurring for a long time, but it suddenly comes into their awareness and they go, oh no, this isn't the way it used to be. And they panic. And once they've associated fear with their performance problems, now they're at risk of this occurring often repetitively in future sexual opportunities, right?
So we've put a lot of focus on the male who is having the dysfunction. Let's talk about the partner.
Okay. And by the way, Veronica, I want to say you did really well with this. You didn't show much discomfort at all, so I congratulate you.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Awesome. Awesome
My
job.
my Amish or Mennonite great
Right.
grandfather would be. I don't even.
It's not as
I'm
hard
not
as
sure.
you thought to talk about penis, is it?
Pennsylvania Dutch, so we don't know. I think they would be a little surprised. Um, so let's talk about. Thank you, by the way. I was practicing. No, I was just kidding. I'm teasing. So let's talk about the effects on the partner.
Okay.
Because I can imagine that, like I can just imagine that, how that would be and how that would make me feel.
Oh, it's horrible. Horrible. Yeah. Female partners consistently interpret this problem as an expression that her male partner does not find her sexually desirable or attractive.
Right.
That's usually, I'd say, 90% of female partners, that's their first reaction, and they're horrified. It feels incredibly rejecting, and it's sharply painful. So a female partner may struggle to not express her pain in a very upsetting and sharp manner because it hurts so much, right?
And what are the potential effects of that you would see in a
But
relationship?
if she does express it in that way, if she's expressing her own pain rather than being able to be compassionate in that moment for her male partner, which is so difficult because the pain is substantial, right? Now her reaction fuels his fear, which then increases the spin with which the cycle of performance anxiety spins, right? So it becomes more trapping. They become trapped more firmly in it, okay? But also, it's going to increase the male partner's fear of attempting another sexual experience. If a lot of male partners really want to please their female partners, that's one way they express love, not just by connecting sexually, but by satisfying her. And when he feels he cannot do that, a male partner often then wants simply to avoid a sexual experience. And if he thinks that by once again disappointing her is going to cause her more pain, that further energizes his fear and his avoidance of a subsequent sexual experience. So often for partners, she's in tremendous pain, upset, rejected.
Oh, yeah.
And male partners often don't know how, they're not comfortable addressing and living with such intense emotion that female partners will express when they're in such pain. So men often feel powerless in it, and female partners don't know how to talk about it. A lot of male partners shut down, so female partners often want to engage and talk about it. Let's process this. Let's understand it. And male partners often want nothing to do with that. So she's left alone. And she often doesn't know, how can I handle this? What can I do about this? I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of female partners spend a little time alone and cry.
Yeah.
However, there are other female partners, their early reaction is, he must be cheating.
Yeah.
If
Right.
he isn't
Sure.
turned on by me, he must be getting satisfaction somewhere else. So a female partner might react, especially, and this is rather cruel for both partners, if in the past, in the history of the love relationship, there was infidelity. Now the female partner is more likely to say, you're cheating. What did you do? So in addition to him feeling terrible about his failure, now he's faced with accusations. And we can see how horrible this moment is for both partners. It's awakened her distrust and her pain from past injuries, and he's being accused unfairly, I hope.
Because women don't forget.
No, of course not. No, they don't.
They don't forget anything.
No,
You know?
it's true. You're correct.
Oh, yeah.
You're correct.
Like a guy, yeah, they kind of live in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Women, they remember everything. They have
So
they have a little list back here.
that's right.
Yeah.
So that pain has now surfaced again. Now we see how complicated this is becoming in a part of the couple's relationship, sex, that should be the most simple, the most natural. It's a place where partners are most close and their love hopefully is most pure. Now it's incredibly complex and incredibly painful, right?
Yeah.
Really,
I
really horrible.
I have actually on this, I have a question here from Karen. And Karen says that whenever she tries to speak to her partner about this problem, he gets very angry.
Mhm.
What should she do?
Okay. Um, Anger tends to be defensive. It certainly is a way to push her away because that's a very painful subject, and men feel tremendous shame. They feel inadequacy. They feel a failure. They feel emasculated. Really powerful pain. So he's reacting to the pain he feels by expressing big anger and probably trying to get her to back off, right? And she just wants to address what's a real problem and solve it, right?
Yeah, she just wants to solve the situation.
But the
Yeah.
way she approaches him, and there's no way to avoid the pain of it, but is to in some way indicate that she understands that there's pain there and to show compassion for his pain. And that despite this really difficult problem, that she still loves him, that he's important, and that she joins with him, that there's still a team. Partners need to be a really good problem-solving team, not just when it comes to sexual difficulties, but everything. And so for her to say, I'm still on your team. We're in this together. I have your back in it. And I understand that while I've never been a man and I don't know exactly what you feel, I recognize that this is incredibly painful for you. And I want to understand your pain. Right?
And I think, since you're here, and we've talked about this a little on some other shows, but the breakdown in communication is seemingly a big problem in marriages. So
Yeah,
here you have a situation that clearly needs communication.
right.
But maybe there's already been a breakdown in communication, and maybe those two don't communicate very well. So what are some tips you can give couples, whether they're going through this situation or not? How can they hear each other? You know,
Yeah, as we talked about in a previous show,
we did.
when when both partners are in pain, that's when communication is likely to break down, and they're not able to communicate because each is reacting to the pain, and the pain is increasing rather than decreasing when there's a lack of listening and understanding and compassion. And I wanted to back up a little bit, Veronica, and that is when the connection between partners is already challenged and communication is have broken down, that already creates a risky environment for partners to have good sexual experience and good intimacy. That can lead to an initial experience of performance failure that starts the cycle of performance anxiety too. So, it's multi-phased.
Resentment, like
Oh,
resentment,
absolutely.
things like that, right?
The quality of the connection between partners in their love relationship has a big impact on a male partner's ability to be relaxed and remain open, and those are necessary for good arousal and maintaining of an erection, right? So if partners are trying to be sexual and to have a lot of pleasure together, but the connection is not very good between them, that is a risky situation that could lead to the beginning of getting trapped in the cycle of performance anxiety, right? It can start that problem. But as a sex therapist, of course, one thing I start to do when I first work with a couple is start to get them to communicate, is start to identify where the walls of defense are and start talking about the pain in a safe environment, in a non-judgmental environment, for partners to start talking about the pain they feel, but also the love they feel for each other. And we start breaking down the walls and having honest conversations while we keep the shame and the fear and the anxiety at bay, to reconnect a little bit through communication, right? Really, really important.
So if you have a couple having this problem and the female wants to see you and the male wants nothing to do with it, it would still benefit her to get coaching from you, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like, you could maybe educate her on how to handle him and them better, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just for female partners to know that usually when the male partner struggles with maintaining erections, it's usually not about his attraction for her. And it's usually not about infidelity. Usually what it's about is his inability to regulate uncomfortable, usually anxiety-based feelings. And it's often about his own self-esteem and not his love for his female partner or his attraction to her. So
Now,
if she's able to understand that, that now removes one of the dimensions that keep couples stuck.
so when should someone worry that it's a medical condition? When would you see a doctor?
Most couples actually first see a doctor before they see a sex therapist, such as myself, because they're unable to differentiate. All right. But a man can test this, and this is going to make you uncomfortable probably.
Oh, goodness. I was
If
doing so well.
Yeah, you're gonna survive this, I promise.
I know. I know. I said the name of your book.
You did. That was
I did.
impressive.
I didn't even. I did.
When soft is hard,
When
right?
soft is hard,
Yeah,
escaping the cycle of sexual performance anxiety.
very good.
Thank you.
If in private he's able to maintain an erection through his own self pleasure, but he's not able to maintain it when he's with his partner,
Oh,
that will indicate that there's no physical problem,
right.
right?
Yeah.
However, men who have had heart problems,
Yeah.
men who have diabetes,
Yeah.
men who take blood pressure medication,
Yeah.
sometimes men who take antidepressant medication,
Yeah.
sometimes men who take a statin for cholesterol may find that they're challenged as far as arousal and maintaining an erection. So sometimes just a doctor prescribing some of these medicines gets couples stuck unintentionally in this horrible cycle,
Yeah.
right? And doctors don't always educate their patients when they, for instance, prescribe a blood pressure medicine, that blood pressure medicine is horrible for erections.
Really, yeah.
And men often aren't aware of that, and then they fail and they're horrified. They're very, very upset by their inability to succeed. And then the couple's off and running with this terrible problem.
So, what is someone to do if they have to take medication for their health? Is there anything that they can do to fix that?
Can be. Like, for instance, with high blood pressure, sometimes it's not always a genetic factor. Sometimes it is a lifestyle factor. And with changes to lifestyle, such as dietary changes or more exercise or a program for fitness, a man can lower his blood pressure and get off blood pressure medicine
Okay.
and find that he's fully capable,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes that happens, or even in the case of diabetes, if it's a case of not insulin dependent diabetes, but diabetes managed with pills, if he works on getting fit and healthy, there's a chance that he can no longer be pre-diabetic and can function again.
So, what about medications like Viagra? Tell me about that.
Okay. Oftentimes, when a man or a couple goes to the doctor to explore this, the doctor prescribes Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra, right? They also often will do a test for level of testosterone, right? Because they're fearing that it's a physically based or hormonally based problem. And so when the pro-erection medicine is prescribed, in some men, it's enough of what I'll call a placebo effect to actually override his anxiety and provide him with a successful experience.
When it's
However,
not necessary at all.
correct. This is so much of what I deal with is psychologically based or emotionally based, and what we believe is so huge in what we create, right? So I deal a lot with psychosomatic issues, right? And often I will utilize the placebo effect, which isn't always about a pill, but sometimes a belief, right? And when it comes to the cycle of performance anxiety, of sexual performance anxiety, if I can get a man to believe he doesn't have a problem, he won't have a problem,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But so the couple goes to the doctor and he prescribes this medicine, and some men actually do succeed at escaping this trap because of the pro-erection medicine, but most will not. Most will get a temporary moment of success only to fall back into the trap And then what they find is that they'll take the medicine, the Viagra, and it won't work.
Wow.
Because fear and anxiety are much stronger than the active ingredient in Viagra or Cialis or Levitra. So they actually become even more hopeless then. And many men, many couples do not get help, and they don't know how to find someone like me. So they give up. A lot of couples become sexless, and many of those couples, their relationship or marriage may end because of it. Not just because of sex alone, but because of how the pain it infects the whole relationship.
So, what can a couple expect when they go to your office?
They can expect that I will seek to make them very comfortable, and I'll talk to them. And I may talk to the male partner and the female partner separately once.
Yeah.
And I may learn how she feels and how he feels. And now I'm going to have to learn about the sexually based problem, but also the collateral damage throughout the relationship. Because if I don't help to heal all the damage in the relationship, that will continually come back into the bedroom and defeat the couple. And also, I have to learn about the problems that preceded the performance anxiety and help both partners to lower the intensity of their anger and their resentment and their hopelessness. And then I will work with the male partner for him to start understanding more about his emotions and to become more emotionally aware, and actually teach him how to identify these feelings and how to talk about them. And I usually provide men, and sometimes the female partner as well, with exercises to relax themselves, a guided meditation that I offer. It's actually available on my website. Anyone can purchase it through my website, but I'll provide that to the couples who come for sexual performance anxiety as an issue, to help practice and getting better at relaxing. Because men who have this problem usually have had lifelong challenges with anxiety disorders, whether it's generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. These are all anxiety-related disorders. And they often render a man vulnerable to this problem, especially as he ages. Right? Really, really difficult. So I will actually help both partners become more emotionally aware, more emotionally intelligent, and help them to be better able to have a dialogue about the different feelings that they're having, and help the partners be able to be more compassionate for each other's pain. So I'm helping the couple to become an excellent problem-solving team. And it's always my job, Veronica, to put myself out of business. I'm always working to get myself out of the couple's life as fast as possible so they're able to solve their own problems without me once we get out of this trap of incredibly painful sexual performance anxiety.
Well, I'm sure there's always two more right behind them. So
No shortage. No shortage
there is
of
no
couples.
shortage here. So on our last show, you gave some really helpful tips on how to communicate with your male spouse. I learned a lot on the last show,
thank you.
and I wanted to kind of go over it again because I'm sure we have new viewers. But when we're having a conversation about something like this, you had said something along the lines of that they need time to process. So what's a good way to communicate with your spouse over this issue or anything else, your male partner?
I think us men, we need to be approached gently by our female partners. Women are incredibly wonderful.
Here we go.
And when women
Here it
feel
comes.
pain,
Yeah.
Women want to express the pain they feel, and they want their male partners to understand when they're in pain, because they want compassion. They want to be understood. They want their male partner to attend to their pain to reduce it. However, when women express their pain, they often do so in a way that captures the intensity of their pain, and male partners don't handle well intensity. And so that often creates uh, from a difficult situation to an even worse situation. So, to women who are in relationships with men, I encourage you to approach your male partner softly and gently, and to explain in a gentle way the pain they're feeling. And to do so, I believe positive language is superior to negative or harsh language. So to be able to explain what it is she wants, like, I want to have a conversation that can help me understand you better, right? Instead of saying in a critical way, I'm tired of this problem and I'm tired of you shutting down to me whenever I bring it up to you. Act like a man and man up and have a conversation with me about this problem so we can fix it. Well, that's not going to go very well, right? Let's stay away from criticism. Let's stay away from intensity. Let's stay away from negativity. Gently to talk about what we want, which is we want to create understanding. We want to solve this problem together. Okay? And it can actually be even useful to express that and then leave it there and say, I'd like it if you'd come back to me in a few hours and let me know if you're willing to talk about this. Right?
Yeah, you said even 24 hours.
Absolutely. Some men are
Like
going to,
some like it takes time.
the less emotionally aware a man is, the less able he is to put words to his feelings, the longer period of time he'll probably need for him to fathom his feelings,
Yeah.
understand that they're there, identify them, and even be able to form some words around them. Because us men, we are not nearly as good at expressing our feelings as women are. As a group, us men, we are not as emotionally intelligent as the group of women are, right? So a lot of women ask this question and are deeply hurt that their male partner is not responding right away, because she is assuming that the man, he's just a woman with a penis. So he must just be like her and he should be able to give her an answer right away. Well,
Yeah.
us men are not like that. So we
Yeah.
actually often need more time to figure our feelings out. And we're not holding out on her. We're just taking the time we need to figure ourselves out. Right? We're very different.
I hope everybody is listening to this, because I have to tell you, I'm so grateful that you're on every month, but you give such good and useful information. And just, I mean, there are just some people that might be intimidated to go to a therapist. So I am very appreciative that you're on,
Well,
because
thank you.
you there is no one that can't take away something from these shows.
We're all human beings and we're all sexual beings,
Yeah.
right? We may be uncomfortable talking about sex, but if sex isn't a part of our life, we're probably very sad, right?
Yeah.
And we can be very uncomfortable and ashamed about sexuality, but it's as normal as eating food, as doing daily tasks. It's a part of being human as much as anything else we do, except we compartmentalize sex and we make it this uncomfortable thing that has to be kept hidden or not talked about. And that often, that itself can cause couples to get trapped in this cycle, right? Is the
Well, what are
discomfort
the
with the song?
differences? What are the differences with how women react to sex and how men react to sex? This might be a good time to talk about that.
Well, actually, in some ways, women are more comfortable with sex among other women. Women are more likely to talk about sex with girlfriends and with a girl group than men are with male friends, right? So women, I think, as a group, are more understanding of this being a normal, natural part of human life. Not all women, though, but women struggle more than men with comfort with their bodies and feeling good about their bodies. And so sometimes for many women, that itself is an inhibiting factor. But a lot of women um, grow up with difficulty regarding sex because of certain feminine expectations and a sense that sex is associated with sinfulness or animalistic tendencies. And there are expectations of the feminine, Veronica, that there should be a level of purity and there should be a level of being ladylike, and that is not similar to being sexual. And so many women are deeply ashamed about the sexual part of being human and are therefore very, very uncomfortable with expressing their sexual nature, right? Uh, it's a tragedy that so many women have experienced trauma, and more women than men have experienced sexual abuse or sexual violence or childhood sexual abuse,
Yeah.
and it's a horrible thing, and it's very, very sad, and it's a problem that as a world we need to solve. But when a woman is exposed to that kind of selfish hurtfulness and violence, that can often affect her sense of herself as a healthy sexual being, and she's unable to ever be comfortable with intimacy and that level of vulnerability with a partner, right? But men too. Many men also suffer childhood sexual abuse, and they become debilitated. It's very, very difficult for them to feel. It damages their masculine sense, right? Their confidence as a male, and that interferes with their ability to handle that vulnerability with a female partner as well. So we have many, many challenges, and people who do suffer in these ways are more vulnerable to the cycle of sexual performance anxiety. And there is a female equivalent, all right? It's not the same, of course, because men and women are quite different, but there is an issue that females suffer from, and it's called vaginismus. And it's a terrible condition in which, due to anxiety, it's also often women with this condition have anxiety disorders, that a woman experiences pain from intercourse and maybe is unable to engage in intercourse because she's unable to receive penetration because of anxiety-based conditions. And she experiences tremendous pain. And this problem becomes a cycle, just like what I described as male sexual performance anxiety for the female partner. She has the experience of painful intercourse, so then the next experience, she's anticipating the pain and she's worried about it, which causes the pain to be even worse. And it becomes a cycle of increasing pain, and these couples are horribly affected by it, and it can destroy the relationship as well. And it's an anxiety disorder, just like the male pattern of sexual performance anxiety, but it's a different problem because females are different than males, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. And sometimes some couples will actually have both, right? It can become incredibly complicated because sexuality, Veronica, is a very complicated part of being human. Every aspect of our humanity comes in and intersects in our sexuality, and all the systems of being human are required for a really loving and pleasurable, successful sexual experience. which is, I'll tell you what's so important for the quality of life and quality of love, that partners are able to enjoy each other in these most intimate moments and are able to play together because they're relaxed and they're able to have fun together and really be playful and enjoy each other. And at its best, sex can be, if partners are relaxed and playful, it can be transcendent. It can be meditative and spiritual. It can lift both partners up, and partners can experience the best in each other's soul, in their joy and pleasure. It can be the ultimate of being the female and the ultimate of being the male, and joining together and merging together in loving bliss at its best, right? But that's a pure and wonderful spiritual experience. That's the heights of sexuality. And it can truly be transcendent and spiritual, because spirituality and sexuality go together beautifully, right? It's all part of being human. It's all part of the love that a woman can give and the love a man can give, and the total appreciation each can have for the other, because really each of us is capable of being magical, right? But couples have to extricate themselves from the complications of all the negativity and the pain of embarrassment and shame, or not liking being human, or not liking being a woman, or not liking being a man, or not feeling confident and strong as a man, or beautiful and desirable as a woman, right? These are all the layers of growth that are potential in our sexuality, if it's a journey that we're willing to engage in. And when I work with a couple who are stuck in this tremendous cycle or these problems, oftentimes after we solve these problems, I then help the couple to heighten their pleasure and increase and improve their play together, so they can experience joy when they get really close, right? So it's not just about solving problems, but it's also increasing the quality of play. And sometimes then we even explore spirituality, right? It's all part of being human. So we can't separate any part. Sex is incredibly holistic. It's really the best of our humanity, Veronica, right?
No.
So I'll shut up now. I'll shut up and
No,
let you talk.
I'm just sitting here listening, like, oh. um, well, I thank you so much. And if you would like to make an appointment to see Andrew, you can go to the website helpforpassion.com. It's running along the ticker there. And you can also purchase his book, When Soft is Hard, Escaping the Cycle of Sexual Performance Anxiety.
You did that well.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
You can get his book on Amazon, or you could also link to it through his website. Again, your radio show, I am so excited for you. I can't even stand it.
Thank you.
Really, congratulations, and well deserved. So his radio show is Under the Sheets, and that will also be a podcast.
Yes, you can find it on Spotify and TuneIn Radio, and shortly thereafter it'll be on iHeartRadio, I believe, and every other outlet from which you can download podcasts.
Sure.
And there are some of my previous podcasts on my website that people can listen to, as well as we talked about in the last show on my website is a course for couples who wish to communicate better, and it's entitled We Just Can't Communicate, as well as some other books I've written. And there are also free downloads for couples who want to manage their anger better, and to improve their sex life, and to get better at relaxing, right? Because I am a lifelong meditator, and I guide people regarding spirituality as well. And I think loving and spirituality and sexual play all go together beautifully. And I want for all those who are listening tonight and who will listen to the show later to have better love relationships, to have more sexual pleasure, to love themselves more, because this is so important for the quality of our lives and for the quality of our communities, our families, and our nation.
Thank you so much.
You're
I
very welcome.
appreciate you.
It's been a pleasure,
So
Veronica.
tomorrow, you said tomorrow is your first show, right?
Yes, first in this new series of
Yeah.
I've been contracted to do 12 shows under the sheets, and we will talk about love, we'll talk about relationships, we'll talk about intimacy, passion, and of course, we'll talk about sex. I'll be probably taking questions from listeners and answer people's questions about you name it. People call in with the most amazing questions, right? Some of which will embarrass most people, but I'll tell you, a lot of the listeners and callers are very, very brave, and they talk about things that most people, I don't think, are courageous enough to mention.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Like me. It's
You
still
did
a
great.
PG. It's still a PG show, though. We
Yes,
try
we
and
did.
keep it clean, you know.
I think I did pretty good at keeping it clean, didn't I?
You did. You did such a good job. Thank you. You will be back next month. Maybe, and you know, I think we need to do like something on your on your guided meditation.
I'd love to do a show about
Let's do
spirituality
that.
and meditation and loving ourselves and elevating ourselves in our love, for ourselves, for others, for our partners, for our families, for life itself.
Let's
So
do that next month.
let's do it. Thank you.
Let's do it. We're going to do it, guys. All right. Thank you.
All
I
right.
will chat with
Be
you
well.
soon, and I'm going to listen to your show. I'm so excited.
Be well, Veronica.
All
Tomorrow,
right, you too.
2:30. Wednesdays, 2:30.
2:30. We got it. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into V Talks. I hope you found some of the information useful. Again, if you would like to make an appointment to see Andrew Aaron, you can go to his website at helpforpassion.com, and there you will find links to his new book, When Soft is Hard, Escaping the Cycle of Sexual Performance Anxiety. You will also have links to many of the articles that he's written for SoCo magazine. And I believe he has a course on there too for couples that you can sign up for. So there's a tremendous amount of information there. Please go there. And again, we will see Andrew again next month. He is a regular on V Talks, and I'm very grateful to have him. And if you tune in next Tuesday night, we have another guest. Her name is Dawn Falcone. She is New York City's chaos liberator, and she's going to help you clean up your life and clean up your house and get organized. So please tune in to that. I'll be marketing that starting tomorrow, and you can learn more about Dawn Falcone. Until then, thank you so much, and I really appreciate you tuning in. Bye-bye.